Zapstring.
Hello my brothers and sisters, it's your boy Zatch and welcome back to some more Wuthering Waves. Today we're doing something a little bit different because why not? I wanted to talk about the 5 new characters. I say 5 because one of them we've seen multiple times before. But yes, the 5 new characters and what could have inspired their designs. What will I name this? I don't know in terms of a title. But yeah, we're going to start out with Augusta and then go in order of the characters that, they show up on Twitter. So yeah, it's gonna be messy and all over the place because I have like 1,000 tabs open, but yeah, just bear with me. So anyway, starting with Augusta and the obvious elephant in the room. She looks similar to Mavukai in the face and hair. I mean, it is what it is. The character looks similar, but do I really care? No. They're gonna play different, so it really doesn't matter. Some people think it's a big deal. Me, I don't. So I'm just addressing it now, just to get out the way. Anyways, their name is Augusta, which is very similar to Augustus, the Roman emperor. So yeah, it's kind of obvious that she does have Roman armor on as well, which focuses on the chest and shoulders. You can really see that. That's really the parts that are really covered, But also looking at that big old thing on her head, it looks very reminiscent of a certain sun god, which is Helios, which we can pull this up here. It looks very similar to what they have going on in this little symbol right here. And on top of that, we do have just suns all over the place. So obviously sun goddess character. So yeah, that alongside the giant sword in the background, I really am excited for this character because that sword, if we look at it, is composed of other swords. And honestly, if you just type in great sword composed of other swords, you'll get the grafted blade great sword, which honestly is a sword made of other swords, which is quite literally what this sword is. But yeah, this is the stuff I believe inspired Augusta's design in some shape or form. So next up we have Luno, who I did hear, about the whole name being a derivative of Juno, which is a goddess of fertility and whatnot, but names have many things they are pulled from. So another one is actually Luna, which is the Roman goddess of the moon. So I like that one better because it's, more of a direct one to the next with the whole Luna. It feels like there's a closer correlation there. When it comes to the appearance of Luna, I would say I could see more elements of that in Luno's design. That being the whole white flowing gown, crescent moon on the forehead, nice flowing or braided hair, but in this case, flowing hair. But then also, she is often depicted flying around in a 2-horse chariot. And when you think of flying horses, you could think of wings. If you look at the hair, you have the little wings in the hair, you could say we're stretching, but it's there. Also, just being depicted with the night in general. When you look at her hair, you can see how it has specks as if it's stars in her hair. So that's why I just feel like Luna is a better, person to say she's pulling more inspiration from. But also when it comes to Luna, when she is being depicted alongside her, there is a lot of moon stuff. Literally, that's the thing that is said. There's just a lot of moon stuff, whether it be full moons, crescent moons, even lunar animals, But in her case, the moon is everywhere. From the little moon on her forehead, which is essentially a cowlick, but, it's in the shape of the moon. It's the only piece of hair that's a different color right there on the forehead. But also, the weapon she's using could be seen as a full moon. She has little moons on her just breast area. There you go. I'll try and say it in a different way. Just gonna say it like that, around the breast. This is, but yeah. And then the weapon she is using is a chakram, so it really has nothing to do with the Roman stuff, but it's just a giant chakram. So she could be a rectifier because I don't see. It's either gonna be rectifier or gauntlet, bro. Because I don't see anybody having anything to like no great sword, no pistol. It's either rectifier or gauntlet because it's a chakram. You throw it at people. You just throw it at people. But on top of that, she might be Havoc simply because night and Havoc, darkness, is pretty straightforward on that regard as well. But yeah, that's the thing we found on Luno. If you care, that's some nice stuff. It's cool. Now when it comes to Galabbrana, yeah, this one was pretty hard to come up with anything. Name not really easy to use to get us anywhere because it's been moved so far away from what it could have ever been linked to. That made that pretty hard. We could just be generic and say, okay, it's Yang Gang, but 5-star. Both bird-esque hair. She has a gun instead, But if we want to dig a little bit deeper and try a little bit, keeping with like somewhat of a Roman theme, I guess, because if we use the Roman theme as something that gives a little handicap and then mix in a little bit of fire, we could just go full mythical, which still does appear in like Greek and Roman legends, the mythical phoenix, because of the whole rebirth and renewal. And her quote is literally the whole devil ever bathed in purifying flames. So those purifying flames could be the flame of a phoenix. And then you can just have, the inner demon inside just sprinkled in there. I guess you could do something like Nero from DMC4 specifically because he still has the devil arm. So yeah, like, you know, mash all that stuff together and you got a nice cool character that is Galbrena, you know, something like that. There really wasn't much to work with, but hey, if we dig hard enough, we can find something. Technically, I could use a lot more things as possible references, but it would be even a bigger stretch than what we got going on right now. So yeah, she better be a pistol user because she has a literal gun in her hand, and then she might be a fusion character, fire that is. So yeah, because the fire that shows up. So we'll see about that. But yeah, Brenda did not make things easy for me whatsoever. Now when it comes to Qiuyuan, there actually is a person with the exact same name very way back in the day. In the Yuan dynasty, they were actually a writer slash calligrapher. In the area, they were pretty much a professor. So yeah, there's quite a bit to read on that front. You know, the things they've written, popular works, or well, famous works. So if you want, you can look him up and just read some of the works that could be who he is derived from. But also, given that, his appearance and how he kind of looks sophisticated, but also kind of looks like he's been in the forest for a long time, having a rough life, you could say he is also taking inspiration from, you know, other more, how do you say, silly things. The best thing I can say is silly, because looking at the weapon he's using, when you type in stick used to beat up people, many things pop up. One of the things that pops up is the Beggar Clan, which uses the dog beating stick technique, which it's all fictional, man. It's a fictional martial arts, but like, it's funny as hell to look at. So like, if he can do that, sure, why not? Apart from that, it could also be something similar to the Green April from Tower of God, which is like a hook sword thing, which in that web novel show, you know, however you know it, you can put energy into it and it would grow bigger and whatnot, you know, slice, hook things. In his case, he is a resonator, so he could do something similar. But if we want to have a lot of fun here, me and my friend had a funny little joke going on about him, which is why he looks reserved and whatnot, and he fights with his sword. If he gets a little bit of alcohol in, my words. If he gets a little bit of alcohol into him, you know, which is that little container up on the end of this little stick, if he drinks that, he'll get a little wild and start using that drunken fist, similar to how Zany has the shield, but then she can go into a great sword. He can go from the sword into just straight up brawler mode. Why not, you know? And finally, we are now to Chisa, who honestly, people are going crazy over her, and I can honestly see why. She takes inspiration from many characters that when you just look at her, some things should just pop into your head. Me personally, the literal first thing that popped into my head when I saw her was Murasame. Literally the very first thing, before I could even take into account anything else about her design. Murasame was the first thing that popped into my mind. And I did hear there's like some kind of boss or something in PTR that looks similar to her, but this is my reality and this is my headcanon, so this will be my Murasame coming into Wuthering Waves. But on top of that, she does have the aesthetic of characters like Makoto Arabe, so there's her, but then we also have a character like Toko Fukawa as well from Danganronpa. So yeah, but then lastly, you know, one more thing that really caught my attention. In the bigger image of this here picture of Chisa, when you look at this, the weapon, it has that little segment like on the hilt that shows like it can extend even further, like a certain scissor sword that we all know and love. So yeah, Ryuko. So I better see that thing extend and hurt somebody a lot. On top of the fact that on that sword, it has a ruler on it, so she can literally see how far she's being her enemy, or well, penetrating her enemy. You know, that's a nice, friendlier way to say it. Yeah, design looks fire, absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to pull her. But yeah, that's all the stuff I could find on the characters that I think could have inspired them in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, like I said, this video is a little bit all over the place. So yeah, I do hope you enjoyed it. If you have any ideas of what the characters could have also been inspired by, or you think I'm wrong about anything, say it, you know? I mean, community, you know, big community. It's all about having fun and whatnot. That's all we're doing here. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you in the next one. I love you guys, and bye-bye.